Welcome to today's information session about a fabulous destination, Peru. This country is dear to my heart, its people warm and friendly, breathtaking scenery, and a culture that intrigues and mystifies you in so many ways, from its historical ruins to unusual wildlife and culinary fusion, and dare I say it, pisco sours. Peru will delight you in ways you cannot imagine. Let's begin our journey of the experiences that await you. Located in South America, it has borders with 5 other South American countries and is considered a very safe destination in this part of the world. Peru enjoys 3 distinct regions, which impacts greatly on the type of destination holiday you will enjoy. From the seashore on the Pacific coast to the high elevations of the Andes, bringing magnificent mountain views and mountain-based activities, along with some tropical rainforests, and finally into the Peruvian Amazon jungle. Friendly smiles, historical ruins beyond compare, a warm and inviting people, and cultural delights that will have you talking about them for years. And yes, even a bit of breathless anticipation as you adjust to higher altitudes in places like Cusco. Markets will delight you, the noises and smells as people sell their wares, the riot of color from the fruit and vegetable stands and flower areas. Peru is a land of color. Wonderful markets with a huge variety of products to enchant you, local artwork in parks like this sculpture in Parc de l'Amor, and the legacy of the Spanish heritage in architectural design alongside Incan structures. So many scenes to delight and tantalize your eyes. I warn you, bring lots of memory cards for your camera. You'll be taking plenty of photos. In this Peru Express trip, you'll discover the 2 most visited areas of Peru, the city Lima and Cusco, the center of the Incan culture, along with the essential visit to Machu Picchu. This city was founded by Francisco Pizarro in 1535 because of the excellent strategic and geographical conditions of the river valley. More tourist hotels are found in the region known as Miraflores, where you will find many fine restaurants, markets and shops, and beautiful vistas looking down the cliffs to the ocean shore. The city was the most prized jewel of the Spanish colonies and was the wealthiest city in the Americas for 300 years. The historic center is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Your city tour will take you through the main square area where the government palace is, and you'll stop to visit the cathedral where the remains of Pizarro rest. Your tour will then stop at San Francisco Monastery and Church. This complex was built over the underground catacombs, which were used as cemeteries during the Spanish colonization. You'll then head out of downtown core, passing into the suburban areas of Lima. Notice the colorful homes on the hillside, which I found so reminiscent of St. John's, Newfoundland. You'll drive through San Isidro, which is known for its many parks, including El Oliver, for its old stately olive trees. The afternoon will be yours to explore the local area. Miraflores is so easy to get around. The streets are in a grid pattern, and you're never far from the ocean. There are many interesting shopping sites. Perhaps you'll observe someone parasailing, or there's the Gold Museum to enjoy by Larco Mall. This mall is popular with tourists because it's free of street vendors and everything has a price for those who are concerned about bargaining in the markets. In the district of today's San Isidro, you'll find an important archaeological complex named the Huayllamarca. It was first utilized as a temple, then converted to a cemetery, and later changed to a human settlement. It's constructed completely with adobe bricks, shaped by hand, and assembled on platforms one over the other to create enclosures, patios, passageways, and private areas. The on-site museum exhibits several important and interesting objects that were found when the excavation started. Complete mummy bundles, beautifully decorated vessels, gourds, objects for weaving, musical instruments, Masks and crowns are all on display here. Founded in 1926, the Larco Museum features the finest gold and silver collection from ancient Peru and the famous erotic archaeological collection, one of the most visited Peruvian tourist attractions. For an unforgettable experience, Larco is one of the few museums in the world where visitors can choose to enter the storage area with its 45,000 classified archaeological objects. Its masterpieces are considered worldwide icons of pre-Columbian art after being exhibited in the world's leading museums, and it's only about a 15-minute taxi ride from your hotel. The Parc de la Reserva was originally opened in 1929 to commemorate all the civilian reservists who fought in the defense of Lima during the War of the Pacific. But more than 65 years later, this park has become one of Lima's most visited tourist attractions and houses today a water and light show called the Magic Water Circuit. In the evening, this is a pretty activity to visit as the water fountains are all lit up, but it's also fun to watch the children delight in the fountains during the day. Your flying time to Cusco today is about an hour and a half. You'll begin to notice the Incan heritage as soon as you leave the airport area. At first you don't realize how you are acclimatizing to the higher altitude until suddenly you realize you are a little short of breath, or that walk up the short incline leaves you short of breath. That's why you have free time once you arrive to help you adjust and get your mountain legs. Hotels offer cocoa tea in the lobbies, which will help your body adjust as well. The rest of the afternoon is at your leisure. Inca walls, colorful costumes, churches built on top of palaces, citadels lost in the Andean heights, legendary roads, all the beauty of a glorious past that enfolds the visitor who arrives in Cusco, the sacred city of the Incas and the archaeological capital of the Americas. Ever since the American archaeologist Hiram Bingham discovered the citadel of Machu Picchu for the world, Cusco has fired the imaginations of thousands of travelers from all over the world who venture down the Inca Trail every year headed for the summit of one of the world's most extraordinary monuments. With its bustling nightlife, Cusco is also a magical city of dizzying excitement. Together with its rich legacy, which is to be found on practically every street corner, its cultural scene makes the sacred city of the Incas the most spectacular destination in the Americas. A morning tour of the city and a visit to the nearby ruins is planned. The city tour of Cusco visits the main square, known in Inca times as the Warriors' Square. This was the scene for many key events in Cusco's history. The cathedral was built between 1560 and 1664, with large stones of red granite taken from the Inca fortress of Sacsayhuaman. Your tour will include a stop at the Corichenca Temple. When the Spanish came to the New World looking for El Dorado, they must have thought they had found it here. Corichenca translates as Court of Gold, and the walls of the temple were all plated with gold, glinting in the sunlight. Unfortunately, the gold was all removed, and all that remains today is the masterful stonework. Many people marvel at the earthquake-proof trapezoidal doorways and windows, one of the many engineering feats of the Incas. The Convento Santa Catalina is part of the complex where Corichenca lies. It houses an extensive collection of religious art and remains today a working Dominican convent. Afterwards, you'll continue to the ruins above Cusco, Kenco, and Pucapucara, Tamboche, and the Sacsayhuaman Fortress, which is an imposing example of Inca military architecture. Kenco, which means zigzag, was where a planting ritual would take place to determine if the harvest would be fair by how the blood of a sacrificial llama ran down a channel carved in the rock. This fortress was built using large slabs of granite to safeguard the city from attacks or invading forces from the east. Most peculiar of this site are the huge stones which fit in perfectly on one another. One of the things I found very useful on my trip was a walking stick, and certainly you need to have solid shoes. No flip-flops, please. When you see how large these stones are, it's amazing to think of the task of quarrying them and moving them to the local site to build the fortress. In Puka there's a very little known about this pink stone ruin that guards the road to the sacred valley. It's often been believed to be a fort or a hunting lodge of the Incan nobility. The ancient fountains of Tambomache are also known as the Inca's Bath. Here you'll find 3 tiers of rock built over a natural spring. Again, interpretations differ as to whether this was a site to worship water or just to take a bath. Those interested in meeting local artisans and having magnificent views over the city will enjoy a trip to San Blas, the area north of the Plaza das Armas. It was one of the city's most picturesque districts, and it's also the location of many of Cusco's finest restaurants. See the simple adobe church in the square of San Blas, and the Museo Hilario, which is a tribute to the artist and his acclaimed artwork depicting llama-like necks in all his works of art. It's easy to think you're going to hit the ground running and go off and explore, but your body needs time to acclimatize to the higher altitude of Cusco and about 30% less oxygen in the air. While some people experience only minor fatigue and shortness of breath, others experience vomiting and headaches. Having an action plan before you arrive is essential to be comfortable. Be prepared. You'll tire easily, and even the simple task of climbing a flight of stairs may be daunting. Cocoa tea is a marvelous restorative, and luckily most of the hotels always have a pot brewing in the lobby that you can partake of. For more extreme cases, you also have the option of spending 10 minutes on an oxygen tank, which can improve your overall sense of well-being. I highly recommend the optional Sacred Valley tour, because while Machu Picchu is an imposing fortress, the ruins at Pisac and Ollantaytambo are also spectacular and unique in their own right. The markets in Pisac are renowned, and you'll discover many fine items to bring home as souvenirs. One of my favorite parts was a lunch stop to taste an Andean buffet, and also to visit a local pottery shop and meet the owners, which was delightful. The vistas here were beautiful. The Pisac Indian Market attracts thousands of visitors and people from remote communities that are dressed in colorful traditional attire. Here you'll find all the souvenirs you've been waiting to purchase. Continue with the visit to the Ollantaytambo ruins, named in honor of the chief Ollanta, who was famous for courting an Inca princess daughter. As you walk around the site, you'll see how this structure represented the main defense against the town's neighboring tribes. There's a self-guided trail that leads you around the complex. Overall, this optional tour to the Sacred Valley will delight you with its beautiful scenery and breathtaking views. After breakfast, you'll transfer to the train station of Poroy and departure by Vistadome train to Agua Calientes. The train trip is marvelous, with panoramic windows in sides and ceilings, giving you excellent views as you travel. You'll pass through local villages and see the children playing nearby and waving to you, and watch the rivers run swiftly beside the tracks. Depending on the timing of your train, you could also receive a nourishing breakfast. The Vistadome train is truly remarkable and provides excellent views as you wind through narrow tunnels alongside stream beds and towering mountains. Only discovered in 1911 by the explorer Hiram Bingham, the Citadel is considered to be one of the most extraordinary examples of landscape architecture in the world. Located in an enclave on the saddle of a mountain, overlooking the deep canyon of the river in an area of lush tropical forest, it served as a place of worship, a site for stargazing, and a private hacienda of the family of the Inca. For anyone who's been suffering from shortness of breath, you'll find a reprieve here today, since the complex is actually lower in elevation than Cusco. Machu Picchu consists of two main areas, one agricultural, formed mainly by mountains and food stores, and the other urban, which is noted for its sacred zone with its temple squares and royal tombs. The stairways and canals carved out of stone are recurrent throughout this remarkable archaeological site. A fun thing to do is to bring your passport, and you can place a Machu Picchu stamp inside. This was one of the parts of visiting Peru my family enjoyed the most. The tourist coach trip to Puno takes most of the day, stopping at various sites along the way, and today is one of South America's most extraordinary overland trips. The scenery of the South Valley of Cusco is spectacular and ideal for great photography. En route, you'll visit some interesting archaeological sites, and lunch is included. This full-day excursion will take you to the highest navigable lake in the world, which is the floating islands of the Uros Indians. The Uros are fishermen and hunters who use the cattail, a type of rush that grows in the lake, to create these incredible floating islands. The roofs of their dwellings are waterproof, and the houses are extremely humid because of the surrounding water. Tequila Island is famous for its craft production, particularly for its beautiful textiles. In the main plaza, you'll find a cooperative shop that sells excellent woolen goods of the finest quality. The island is only about 1 kilometer wide and 6 to 7 kilometers long, but it boasts numerous pre-Inca and Inca ruins as well as the Inca Terrace, and you can see Bolivia in the distance. There are wonderful finds for restaurants wherever you travel in Peru, many offering a tourist menu of an appetizer, main course, and dessert for around $10 US, so eating well is not expensive. Of course, my personal favorite quickly became the pisco sour, a national drink often provided free as part of the meal. In the spirit of comparison shopping, I made it my personal agenda to ensure that each restaurant we visited provided a consistent product. Great cuisine experiences await you, from fresh fruit and seafood to 500 varieties of potatoes and numerous vegetables and fruits. Everything is so fresh and beautifully presented. Local delicacies include ceviche, a dish of grated raw seafood with limes and spices, and koi or guinea pig, which is roasted over an open fire and quite delicious. There's numerous drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, made from purple corn that are quite interesting to taste. Traditional dishes use local ingredients that can be seen in farmers markets, delicious local cheeses, pasta, and there's also many international restaurants offering a variety of international cuisine, and vegetarians will find that there's a really good choice of both local and international dishes. With shopping markets, local markets, and stalls by the road, you'll have a plethora of local goods to select from and bring home as lasting treasures. As you have seen on the wonderful tour from Indus Travels, you'll have the opportunity to experience these wonderful highlights of Peru. See the world-famous Inca ruins at Machu Picchu. Visit the impressive man-made islands on Lake Titicaca. Admire the colonial architecture of the capital city Lima, and soak up the colonial charm of the Sacred Valley in Cusco. Experience the train ride to Machu Picchu. Join this Indus tour and discover the magic of this beautiful land.